Hi guys, and welcome to our KMC new user training specializing in Smart Search. Welcome to everybody who's here. I'll just give people a few minutes to get settled. Cool. We had a lot of registrants for this, so that's awesome. And we're going to start doing more of these more regularly. So it's really good to see you've all signed up and are here. Cool. So this is about Klevu Smart Search, about like how to configure the Smart Search, what you can do every day to be effective in the KMC, how to analyze your search data and like kind of what are the meaningful settings that you have in the KMC. I'm joined today by Adora and Chris. Adora is a customer success manager and Chris is our head of customer success.
Yeah, I head up the global customer success team. I work with a team of people like Adora who will walk you through this webinar.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much for taking the call today and joining in from wherever you are. Like Rachel has said, I am the client success manager here at Klevu, and I'm looking forward to kind of walking you through the KMC today. I know, and getting started with Klevu, there's a ton of questions around features and capabilities. So today we will get into that, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. Please do feel free to just put your questions in the chat, and after the discussion, we will go through the questions and answer any questions we have. So,
perfect. Well, there is a questions tab as well, so you can put some questions in there, or you can put some questions in the chat. You can also give some kind of thumbs up emojis and things. You can see it's quite fun. Comes up on the bottom of the screen, so feel free to react as we're going along. And I'm going to pass over to you, Adora.
Awesome. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, awesome. So the first thing you'll see when you're logged into the KMC is the dashboard. And in the dashboard, we have some standard stats here. Off to the left, you'll see your total search queries. I'm in our production site, so this is just an example of all the different features and stuff that you'll see when you're logged in. But of course, it will be custom to your stats and of course your keywords and all of that good stuff. So off to the left, the first thing you'll see is your total search queries. This is the total number of searches for the given period. And the period would be specified here. By default, Klevu is set to the last 7 days, but you have the option to set the view as far back as 120 or give it a custom range. For the sake of the presentation, I'm going to set it back to 120. Give it a second to load there. Apologies for the delay. All right, there we go. So it has refreshed my view to the specified period that we included here under the calendar. So back 120 days places us at May 18th up into the current date, September 14th. All right, so we can see our total searches here, followed by the total number of clicks for the same period, and followed by the top location for the site during the given period. Next, we'll see the total number of search-led sales for the specified period here. Sorry for the pop-up. Right beneath that, you'll be greeted with your keywords, and this is sort of ranked from the highest number or the highest searched keyword from greatest to least. So we can see here, jacket, for an example, had 876 searches, and then followed by ever cool. Under the clicks tab, you will see the the product that brought in the most clicks, as well as the number of clicks for that product and the associated keywords. So in our instance here, we're seeing that the Harmony LumaFlex Strength Band Kit had 4,749 clicks, and these are all the associated keywords with that product, okay? So moving on to the locations tab, you will then see your top location listed again from the most frequent location to the least. We can see that Auckland is showing first, and right next to that, again, we can see the associated keywords with that location. If you move on to the most sold products, you'll have the option to see the product with the highest number of sales, followed by the number of transactions, the number of units sold, and the sales that came from that product and the associated keywords as well. You have the option to export this data and select whatever key points you'd like to export, whether it be keywords, clicks, or a combination of the three. You can also specify your range, input the email that you like to receive it, and hit export, and you'll have the option to download a CSV file with all of the data. All right, so it's pretty straightforward. These are all of the features that you'll see here within the dashboard. Here under store, you'll have the option to select your site. If you have multiple, you'll be able to select, and that will kind of refresh the view to whatever site you have selected. Here you can check your catalog sync, and we can navigate that, and it will show sort of your last sync, the data received for that sync, and the status, base URLs, your on-demand sync, and preferences as displayed here. Make sure that anytime you're making any changes under either of these tabs that you save changes so that it's recorded. So under settings, you'll see your company information. Again, the catalog sync tab that we just reviewed, as well as the option to change the password. We also have the Klevu roadmap located here that will walk you through all of the updates that we've recently rolled out and what's to come. I definitely encourage you all to check this from time to time, just to stay on top of all of the features that we have coming, and you have the option to share any feedback with our team as well. So if after you've had a chance to kind of play around in the KMC and there are things that you guys would like to see, any recommendations, please do share that feedback, and our product team will take that into consideration. All right. So moving back into our dashboard, and then on to customizations. Here, you'll probably spend the bulk of your time making different edits as far as search goes. The first thing you'll see is the Search as You Type layout tab. And this is basically where you have the option to select some tweaks in the display of your search. So the first option we're seeing here is the instant faceted search layout. Sort of spans the page. We can see that it, by default, it's on the grid view. If I click on this, we'll see an example of, what that looks like. And really, it boils down to personal preference in terms of, which option you want to go with. Off to the right, the instant autocomplete layout has a similar look and feel, but again, it just kind of boils down to personal preference. We see that, the facets that we had in the autocomplete aren't shown here. And it's more so, suggestions here, the pages, category, and then, the products on the lower level. Right beneath that, you can kind of specify the number of products you'd like to show in that overlay by default. And then, of course, you'd hit save, and that should activate on your live site, all right? Here you have the tab for any custom CSS, that you'd like to include. If there's some, different customizations that you don't have the options to edit here, if you click this article, it'll walk you through getting that set up for your native platform. Under general settings, there are more options here to kind of customize, the look and feel functionality as well of your search dropdown. So under out of stock products, if you have the show out of stock products in search selected, it will do just that. It will show products that are out of stock in search results. You can also customize the caption of what you would like your customers to see for items that are sold out. If you have some type of jargon that's more common to your brand and you want to get really fun and creative with, what customers see, you can customize that here, coming soon or whatever, is befitting. Under popular searches and recent searches, you can also show popular searches in the overlay as well. by making sure this is selected. And if that's not the case, of course, keeping it deselected, and Klevu will take that into account. Under include keywords, if you want to show specific keywords in popular searches, you can go ahead and input that here by just clicking the add sign. You have the option to input as many as you'd like. And then right beneath that, you also have the option to show recent searches in the overlay as well. With that, you also have the option to exclude certain keywords from showing up in the search. And you would, again, just put that here. If you have multiple, input it here, and then with the minus sign, of course, that will remove it as well. By default, the responsive mobile-friendly search results is selected, and I encourage you guys to keep that selected so that the mobile view, is user-friendly and, inaccurate. Under product code, you can show product codes or SKUs in search results as well to your liking. The default product thumbnail image allows you to input a URL here and include that in search also. Under the search box on search results page, you can show search box on search results page by ticking this box. And again, after you make any of these changes, just be sure to hit save and give it 10 minutes or so to activate on your live site. Okay. So moving on to personalized search recommendations. So here you can kind of control what shows up, as we can see here in the overlay example, popular searches and recent searches. So if you have show popular trending products selected, that will be included in the overlay when people are searching on the site. And you can also, again, customize the caption for trending products. Maybe if you wanted to do something that was maybe, again, more on brand, what's in, you can customize that here. And then you can also show recently viewed products in the overlay as well and customize the caption as desired. All right. So moving on to facets. Here you have the option to show advanced facets within search results. As we can see, by default, Klevu shows facets in search results. Uncheck here if this is not something that you'd like to do. You can select your facet display and behavior. By default, multi-select is selected, but you can do single as well. Right under facet position, you can choose exactly where you'd like your facets to sort of position within the overlay. More commonly, you'll see it on the left as displayed here, which is the default, but you have the right as an option as well. Under facet position on search results page, you can position the facets to the top. I think actually we saw that in the overlay option under the first tab, or you can do it again off to the left here under the facet positioning. And then under visibility, here you can kind of customize the order, the look and feel of how you want the facets to appear on site. So we can drag and drop these as needed. As you can see here, if I can get this to drag and drop. There we go. Yeah, so you have the option to drag and drop it in the order that you'd like. You can give your facets, a specific caption that you think, works best for your site. And then you can also search for different facets here. So if there's, a facet that you're looking for that doesn't show up, instead of having to go through, multiple pages, if you have a ton, you can search for the facet here and that will populate it as needed. All right. And then, of course, don't forget to hit save once you make any changes. All right. So if we navigate to the add to cart button, this is pretty straightforward. This is where you have the option to kind of, customize the add to cart button. If this is something that you like to include in search, you can have the add to cart button selected. You can caption what you'd like to click here, what you'd like to put here. And then if an image is something that you'd like to display, you can go ahead and input that image URL and hit save. Content CMS search, this is an option to show non-product content in search results. You can either select it or deselect it to your liking. All right. And then under price, here you kind of have the option to customize the look and feel of, how prices are displayed on your site. Here you can show product pricing search results or not. You have the option to select between a slider or a price range, which we see here. You can kind of input the price interval in price range in this bar here. You can also include the value added caption if that's something that you choose to do by selecting it here, and of course inputting that here, and then also customize the format for how you want the prices to display. So if it's using decimals or using a decimal separator, you can kind of customize the currency here, currency symbol right below that, and of course hit save, and that will display according to your preferences on the site. Under the search report email tab, here you have the option to sort of select a cadence that you'd like to receive kind of either a daily or weekly report on search stats that we're seeing here in the KMC. You have the option to choose up to 3 emails here and specify the cadence here by selecting either daily, weekly, or a combination of both, and then hit save. To add an additional email, you just hit the plus sign here and input the email that you'd like to include. I've had clients ask every now and then if we do have like multiple people that we'd like to be included in this weekly report or daily report, and 3 is not sufficient for us, what's the workaround? And really what I'd recommend in that case is to use maybe a general email that everyone has access to, so like an info at, and that way, your team can check that regularly, and everyone has the option to kind of, stay up to date with the different stats that are happening. All right. So lastly, under customizations, you have the option to customize what browsers are seeing when a zero results page is found. And you can do so by customizing the message here. Again, as we've kind of seen, under the different features, an option to really customize the messaging. And you can do that again here under the no results page and really get strategic and creative with, your messaging and how you like to communicate, with traffic in your browsers and customers. You have the option to specify a custom message for specific keywords as well. So some of the great ways I've seen customers do this is if you have maybe a certain product that is out of stock, but you're going to be getting it back in stock at a certain point, you can specify that in the message here. Even though it's returning the 0 results, it's allowing your customers to know that at a certain point in time, this is going to be available, so look out for it. Right beneath that, you'll see banner ads, which is an option to create banners for this page. And you can include the URL here, the target URL here. You can see the size recommendations kind of displayed here, any alt tags that you like to include, and then specify where you want this banner to show up. So whether it's the quick search or the search results page, you can also do it for specific terms. Right now, the default is any search term for no results found, but you can specify here with this option, and then input the search term that you like the banner to be associated with. You'd hit add, and that would take it into account on your page, right? Okay, so moving on to promotions. Under the promotions tab, here you have the option to kind of really boost products, create roles for, really your needs. I've seen people kind of use this in many different ways. One of the more common ways are for maybe new merchandise that you have coming in that you want to give like a temporary boost on site or in search. And you have a few ways to do that. You can do it at the product level, which we call product level boosting. And what you'll see here off to the right is sort of the ranking, right? So the default for every product within Klevu is set to 1. And over time, the learning score will kind of take into account, the relevancy, the engagement with different products, and, promote them in search or prioritize them in search based off of, what Klevu is able to gather for those individual products. But if you did at any point in time want to promote products whether it be indefinitely or temporarily, you can do so by giving it a score, hitting save, and that will take into account, the algorithm will take that into account and boost those products in search so that, they kind of take priority for whatever, the reason is. You can do it for multiple products. The product level boosting score is kind of comprised of, 3 things that we take into account, which is the product level score. It takes priority. Role-based merchandising score, which we'll get into next. If there is a role-based merchandising score associated with a product or a given product, you'll kind of see that score shown here. And then the self-learning score is the AI, which also takes into account, these first 2 options, the product level score and the role-based score, okay? You have the option to boost products up to 999 or, down to 0. And you can also boost it negatively, which will, tell Klevu that you want that product to be, on the last page, further down in the search results versus, prioritized. We do not recommend boosting products to 999. At that point, there isn't any learning taking place. So it sort of defeats the purpose of AI and, really learning. But do feel free at any point in time to boost products if needed. I think around 100 is more than enough to see any products kind of boosted, to the top of the search, especially if, everything else is kind of set to 1. Okay. So moving on to role-based merchandising. Here you have the option to create roles and assign them to a given number of products. If, for an example, you'd like to boost new merchandise or boost a specific color, or maybe in some cases, there are some products that actually aren't getting the visibility that you'd like. Maybe they're not as much in demand, and for that reasons, they tend to be on the later pages, and customers aren't seeing it much. It's not getting that visibility. You can create a role to temporarily boost those products and give them that visibility. And really with roles, you can get creative and assign attributes to your roles as needed. So if we go to add new role, you'll see sort of the setup here. Of course, you'd give the role a name, you'd give it a description, you'd set the status to active, if it's something that you want to, activate. And then of course, if it's kind of run its course and you'd like to, stop that priority, you can go ahead and inactivate it. Under role condition, you have the option to specify by all or any. So we'll just do all to keep it simple. We'll go ahead and select our attribute, set the attribute by color, and go ahead and stick with all. We'll give it a value, maybe set it to green. And then if I wanted to maybe go by price in addition to color, we give it a combination as well. Let's see, go by price range, less than, and then maybe give it, 50. And then I would give it a score. And in the score, under boosting score, you have the option to either input the score here. I'm just gonna go by, 100. Or you can, of course, use the slider, which is a recent feature that we've added to make it a little bit more user-friendly. Just drag it and drop it as you need. If you're dragging it to the left, that's deboosting it. And if you're dragging it to the right, it's giving it a boost. So I'm gonna set it here back to, let's just go with 105. We'd hit save role, and then that will activate, all right? So I'm gonna hit cancel. And move on to keyword level visual merchandising. So under keyword level visual merchandising, here you have the option to kind of associate products, promote them with specific keywords. So for an example, we see hoodies here, and we can see that under hoodies, for this keyword, we have 2 products here that we've sort of given priority, right? So when people search for hoodies, these are they're gonna populate. We have the same option here again for dresses. You can see under view all products. Well, these aren't dresses, but they would be, depending on the product that you're trying to associate with the keyword. That's the products that would show up under the view all products here. All right. So if I hit add new, and I search for products, just going off of dresses, or let's do backpack. We can see here that, it's going to pull all of the products associated with that keyword to the top, and we can then drag it off to the right. These two, the impulse duffel looks pretty nice. I'll drag that there. And then we'd hit save and boost for backpack. And we'll see that sort of display here, under search keywords. And similarly, you can do the same for excluding products from being associated with key terms as well. So if you're trying to do the opposite, if there's certain products that you don't want to kind of show up when certain keywords are searched for, you can, input the keyword and drag that product, similar to what we did for adding one, off to the left, to the right, sorry, for that key term, and Klevu will take that into account. All right, let me cancel out of that. Under banner management, here you'll sort of have the option to create banners, for search and for the site. And I encourage you guys to do so. People are visual. You definitely want to give them options to engage and click and ultimately drive conversions. So for each site, you have the option to add up to 20 banners. And if you go to add banner here, you'll be prompted to kind of get that set up. You'd go ahead and input the image URL here, give the banner a name, select enable, add the alt tags, the target URL, the duration. So when you would like this banner to run, let's say, so today's the 15th, we can set it to run to the 30th for the sake of the example. You can also specify where you would want the banner to display. So you have the option to select the quick search or the search results page. And then you can even narrow it down to specific search terms. So if it's not sort of like a general banner that you'd like to, display on either of these locations, the search results page or the quick search, you can do it by specific terms. So you can go ahead and input, if there's a certain term, or in some cases, a certain brand, that you'd like this banner to display for, you can go ahead and input that term here, hit save and publish, and that will display it. You'll see the number of clicks over time that the banners are sort of generating. And I encourage you guys to kind of play around with this, try different locations in terms of, where they display, and see what tends to drive the most clicks, and kind of use that to inform where you display the banners for search, okay? So moving on to synonyms. Synonyms are sort of great when you have terms that work in multiple ways. So a good example would be, I have a client that sells hair products, and often customers come to the site and they search for products by a specific color code. So purple, for an example, would have a color code that's associated with it, like AB11. They know that equates to purple, and so do the customers. So they search for that color code. You could put a synonym in place for that. So it's telling Klevu that when people search for AC11, which is the color purple, we would like that product, that hair color associated with, that term to populate. A great option for a synonym. And really, you have the option to put synonyms in place that work two ways. So you can do bidirectional and you can do unidirectional. And you can do that here. You specify your keyword, select, which direction you'd want, that synonym to work. In some cases, you don't want it to kind of go both ways. You want it to just be for a specific term. In this example here, we see sweaters equates to hoodies, but hoodies don't necessarily equate to sweaters, right? When you think of hoodies, it's a very specific garment, right? It's got the hood, but it could work essentially as a sweater. So that's a case or an example of when you'd use a one-way synonym or a unidirectional synonym. If you're doing bidirectional, you input the corresponding synonym here and hit add, and it will then be added to the display here under the different synonyms that you've created. There is an option to upload as well. So if you've got just a list of synonyms that you'd like to input into Klevu versus having to kind of do it one by one, you can go ahead and do that under the file upload option and hit upload. You will then import the CSV, and then if you needed to download that and make any changes, we recommend that you download it, make the changes, and re-upload it. And just be mindful that anytime you're re-uploading a CSV file for synonyms, Klevu will take into account that upload, and it will override any previous synonyms that you've had kind of displayed there. So keep that in mind and make sure that everything's included and it's up to date. All right. So moving on to URL redirects. URL redirects are great when you want to redirect traffic to a specific page. Zero results are typically the most common use case for redirects. When you see certain terms kind of populate in the dashboard, you know that visitors are searching for, and you know, like, okay, what they're looking for, but for whatever reasons, you know, they're not finding that page. It's a great time to put in a redirect. For an example, let's go to the dashboard and take a look at our zero results. Apologies again for the delay we're having here. We'll give it a second to kind of populate. I think it would be helpful to kind of show an example of a good time to use a redirect. All right, so under keywords with zero results, you'll sort of see all the different results that people, you know, are searching for, and, you know, the number, of course, of the people searching. We've made a recent feature that allows you to kind of input the synonym or redirect here within the dashboard, so you don't actually have to go in to redirects or synonyms to create it. You can actually do it here within this view. But if someone, for an example, is searching for maybe shipping, or, you know, something, a common page, you know, you can put in a redirect to redirect them to that page. If they're searching for a product, a brand that you guys maybe at some point had in stock but is no longer in stock, but you know that at some point in time you will be restocking, a redirect is another option to kind of redirect that traffic to that page. And then that will allow the customer to see, you know, whatever messaging you've included, like coming soon, maybe an option to get notified through email when that product does restock. So those are all, you know, some ways that you can use redirects along with synonyms. All right, and at this point, we've gone through search and all the different features available for search within the dashboard, and I'm going to also step into enhanced analytics, which we launched in September of last year. Fairly recent feature for Klevu, but I'd like to describe it as sort of a visual representation of a lot of the search stats that you're seeing within the dashboard, sort of a level up on that. And it's really great to sort of see, again, from a visual standpoint, how search is trending over time. Within enhanced analytics, similar to the dashboard, you have the option to specify a range up to 120 days. But you can also kind of narrow it down by country and city, as well as device. So you can get really, really specific with the stats that you'd like to see, okay? And, you know, within that first view, you'll see your click-through rate, your click conversion rate, your sales conversion rate. And then over time, we have a graph here that kind of shows you, you know, if we do search users or sales through Klevu, which was the default, what that, you know, that trend looks like over time or according to our specified period here. So if you guys, for an example, were running a specific promotion and you want to see, you know, how that promotion did, this is a great place to check. And then just regularly to kind of see, you know, where are some of our peaks? Where is that traffic coming from? What are some days, you know, or periods that we're seeing sort of a jump, and, you know, how can we take that into account and plan around that? Under filter analysis, which I think is a really great feature. Here you can sort of see the breakdown of filter engagement on your site, if it's something that is heavily used. And it shows you here under like most popular filters, the different filters, the number of clicks, and the percentage of clicks for these different filter categories. So for an example, price, we're seeing had 1,062 clicks, right? Narrowing down their search by price, and it's accounting for 18.7% of our filter clicks, our filter usage on site. And then you see the breakdown of those filter clicks here off to the right, and it shows you, where are people really spending their time in these filters, how are they using them, what percentage of our users, are focused on price or using price to search on our site, and how can we kind of take that into account and making it more user-friendly. Under most popular filter values, you'll see the most popular filters on your site. So again, price seems to kind of take the ranking here. It accounts for 18.6% of your clicks as far as filters. And then off to the right, we can see the device breakdown for those filters. So around 55.9% are using filters on desktop, and around 44.1% are using it on mobile. It's more common to see desktop be the main device when filters come into play, because I think it's more natural for people to kind of use filters on desktop versus mobile. But we do have that kind of displayed here, and it's a great point of reference when you'd like to get kind of an idea of where people are spending their time with filters by device. Okay. Under search term analysis, we've also included a really cool word graph that allows you to kind of see the search term correlation between keywords and what we call code descriptors on your site. So by default, we will kind of rank the top 10 terms from search here and allow you to kind of see how they intertwine with other keywords. So for an example, yoga is here, and we're seeing that yoga is heavily linked to Sprite. We see we see short, we see foam, we see straps. If we selected short, we could then see how short is connected to yoga. And if we brought in jacket, you can get as creative as you want here and really drag in as many terms as you'd like to see. Kind of drag this here like so. There we go. All right, so we can see in this instance, jacket is heavily associated to zip. It's heavily associated to dance and fitted, fitted jacket. This is really great for informing your website copy. So it's a great point of reference when you want to get a feel for, what people are searching for and a lot of the terms that are kind of associated with those searches, and use that to maybe update your titles and descriptions as needed, and really, improve that SEO and user experience on your site. Right beneath that, you'll kind of see those top 10 full search terms kind of displayed here from greatest to least, and the device breakdown again for those searches. So we're seeing shirt, it accounted for 26 searches in this case, and we can see that right now, most of the search is happening on desktop at 56.2%, and then followed by mobile at 43.8%. Okay.
Some of the new questions coming through, Chris, do you want to kind of?
Yeah, so I think Ben, you've got a question I'd like to know more about, just in the guided navigation visibility by category and the order of the values. So that's in the section that Ajura showed you with regards, I believe what you talked about are what we call facets. So you can change the order of those. However, the default order that we will show them is by facets that appear the most. So I don't know if Ajura, you can just pull the search customizations and the facets up. But this is the section I believe you're talking about here, where you can define the order of these facets. You can change the order, and you can have them not show. You can untick them, etc. So if there was a category you didn't want to show, then that's how you would do it there.
Yep.
All right.
Hope that's clear.
Tara, can you duplicate default rules or schedule campaigns across multiple Klevu accounts? For search, unfortunately, you can't at the moment. You'd need to replicate the campaign, the search campaign or the keyword within each individual account. Kathy, we don't show sales totals in the dashboard. Is there something we don't have linked right? Kathy, I would send an email to support@klevu.com. Just tell them that there's an issue with the sales reporting. Very often, it could be an issue with how your sales data is being recorded, that type of thing. But there's usually a resolution for that, so we can get that reported. Just drop an email to support@klevu.com, and they'll answer that.
Cool. Any other questions? Quickly, we've got maybe a minute left. Great. Thank you so much, Dora. That was a very good overview. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.